This is the E-Commerce Braintrust, a podcast about building momentum online for established consumer brands. Join our hosts and their expert guests for high-level conversations about e-commerce strategies, trends, and innovations. Access our Braintrust and boost your brand's e-commerce potential.
Hello and welcome to the E-Commerce Braintrust podcast. I'm Julie Spear, Head of Retail Marketplace Services at Acadia, alongside my co-host Jordan Ripley, Director of Retail Account Management. And today we have our good old friend, Ross Walker, Director of Retail Media, joining us to talk about a topic that is near and dear to his heart, Amazon DSP. And not just any old conversation about Amazon DSP, it's Amazon DSP for non-endemic brands. So, Ross, very excited to dig into this with you. Very excited to have you back. You ready to roll?
Thank you so much. Yeah, this is a favorite topic of mine, and just picking up more and more steam. So, very timely meeting today.
Can we start with the hardest question, which is, what are demic brands? This is the thing that I always
Fantastic question. Because if you try and play Demic in Scrabble, I guarantee you will not.
I'm not
so
good. Words with no friends.
Endemic?
Yeah. that I'm pretty sure we'll be able to define on this show, but don't hold me to it.
I said the opposite of non-endemic, endemic? I don't.
Okay, good. We solved. See, we're already ahead of schedule on this.
It's a quadruple negative, actually.
My work here is done, and now that we've solved the mystery of that, we can move into maybe a little bit more of the Amazon of it all. Shall we?
Yeah, I vote that we do away completely with the jargon of endemic versus non-endemic brands, because it's just so heady. You have brands that sell on Amazon versus brands that don't sell on Amazon. And that is all. An endemic brand is a brand that sells on Amazon, and a non-endemic brand does not sell on Amazon. And it's as simple as that. You don't need to gussy it up with some fancy terminology.
It really is as simple as that, but why is it not so simple? Like, where has the confusion stemmed from?
You know what it is? My hunch is that it's just like way back in the day, some very technical engineering types defined the terms, and marketing never got their hands around it. And so it just sat there as endemic versus non-endemic.
80% of the jargon is inertia. We got
100%.
100%.
Well, now that you've got your soapbox, we know that that's going to be the thread that carries through all of this. And you're talking about kind of shifting the framing of this. And you did write an article recently where you did a deep dive into how Amazon DSP is shifting in 2026 relative to the broader programmatic landscape. You're seeing mindset shift. Why is Amazon looking at things through a broader lens? And how can non-endemic brands approach ADSP as part of their overall strategy?
There are probably two important threads here. The first one is Amazon has just been building out its capabilities as a DSP. So if you imagine in the DSP ecosystem, the gold standard forever was the trade desk. So if you're buying programmatic media, that is the DSP or demand side platform that you go to make your buys. If you want to put a bunch of digital ads out there, you need some kind of platform to do all the buying, and that is the trade desk. If you go back to if you watched Mad Men, like in the latter seasons, they buy a computer and they put it in their offices. That's the engine, basically. It's like an engine for buying lots of media. And so the trade desk became, the standard. And because it was the standard, it added a lot of bells and whistles over time. It became, more and more expensive. And what has happened is with the development of more of a privacy focus in society in general, and doing away with cookies, and there's less tracking that's available, there has started to be a bit of an erosion of the efficacy and measurement capability of some of the in Meta for sure, but for Trade Desk as well. You don't have, now you're not able to show the ROAS. You're not able to show the money in the same ways that you used to. Amazon, on the other hand, has its own platform. It is able to show the money because it owns the customer. And so their mission as an advertiser, I think, has always been to get to that gold standard level, to become a trade desk like in their capabilities. And so on the path to that in the past few months, even I would say, but like past few years for sure, they have added all the bells and whistles, all of the inventory, such that now you can do basically all the same kind of buying. You have the same buying power for programmatic media across, higher end premium CTV or STV spots, audio, digital out of home, like all of that, plus their own channels. Now that they have reached that same level, now I think it's a big unlock. Now brands are looking at ADSP a little bit differently than they used to.
You speak to this as the sort of catching up of ADSP to the larger programmatic industry. But you also mentioned the comparison with the more direct response advertising of Google and Meta. And so I'm curious, if we boil down media buying into the two value propositions, right? There's the cost to serve. How much do I pay to get an ad in a given placement? And then there's the value derived, right? What audiences can I reach? How likely are they to achieve my campaign goal? I'm curious, if you think of the cost side, right? CPC, CPM, whatever, and the value side, which of those seems to be driving this shift more towards ADSP? Is this, I could just get inventory at a cheaper rate than Google Meta Trade Desk? Or is this actually the audiences are so much more powerful that I'm willing to spend more, or some blend of the two?
Yeah, I think it's there. It's actually both of those things. So on the one hand, the audience, there is definitely no DSP out there that has the same level of commerce data than Amazon. And so when you're looking for audiences that are likely to inform a purchase, Amazon has to outperform everyone else because, the Trade Desk owns no commerce platform to be able to say this person is likely to be in market for a particular product, or this person has bought that, product X in the last 30 days. Nobody else has that, or you have to pay a lot for, say data from other data providers that maybe have that, they put it out in the marketplace, and that can be quite expensive. So what Amazon has done is they've merchandised all the data that they have about consumers on the one hand, which is a tale as old as time when it comes to digital media. But on the other hand, they've also really put their thumb on the scale to say our platform fee, our media fees, our audience fees, we're going to keep them really, really low to try and buy up as much market share as we can in this ecosystem while the getting's good. And there's no doubt in my mind that at some point they'll change their tune on that and say nah, we're going to charge crazy prices. But, for now they've kept their platform fees and their audience fees really low.
And if we're in this sort of heady time where as much as Amazon is willing to subsidize some market share here, it's a pretty enticing value prop for cost relative to value.
Yeah, I think so too. And so the value, just the efficacy side is what I would stand on as the biggest value for trying to be an Amazon. But they're using the ADSP as a non-endemic brand, but the cherry on top is that you can buy the same media for much lower costs. Why not do it?
Yeah. Okay, helpful.
Can I bring us back to the start of our conversation and revisit
more jargon.
revisit the endemic and non-endemic semantics and confusion there? Often there is confusion around non-endemic campaigns and endemic brands running link out campaigns.
Yeah.
Can you clear that up?
Yeah, great.
What's
very,
the difference?
Very good question.
And then talk about what the possibility is for each of those, the non-endemic brands and how they can tap into ADSP, and then endemic brands running link out campaigns. What are the opportunities and possibilities there?
For the brands that sell on Amazon, just to use that terminology, the endemic brands, they can direct their traffic to what used to be two places. Either they can direct it to Amazon or they can direct it to their own website. Now, in the past few months, we've been part of a number of alphas and betas. We're actually seeing a lot of our brands who are using the DSP to drive their traffic to other retail sites. So to say send the traffic to Ulta or send the traffic to Walmart, send the traffic to the Home Depot, because as a DSP, Amazon doesn't care where you send they don't care where you send the traffic. And their philosophy has very much changed from one of where our ADSP is meant to support the growth of Amazon to a rising tide lifts all boats. If a brand is more successful at another retailer, it's probably going to be more successful here too. So wherever they want to send the traffic, they can.
So is it really that altruistic about rising tide lifts all boats, or is it like access to the advertising dollars? I mean,
that's a great question. They're definitely
shades of gray. Shades of gray.
Both, I would say.
We'll take your very generous view.
Both. Yeah, I'll be fair.
Okay.
But the options for an endemic brand, a brand that sells on Amazon, they vary slightly, right? So like your access to audiences is curtailed a little bit when you're sending traffic outside of the Amazon ecosystem. So you can use all of their fantastic upper funnel in market and lifestyle audiences that tell you who's in market for what to send traffic to your own website, but you're not able to, or to another retailer, but you're not able to use those behavioral audiences, the ones that say person X looked at ASIN Y in, the last W days, those kind of custom or like AMC custom audiences, like a lookalike of my purchasers, those are all fall into the custom audience bucket. Those are not allowed for endemic brands. You can't send traffic outside of Amazon during that. So what they've done is they've merchandised their broad, very valuable data about who's in market for what. But if you're a brand selling on Amazon, they've said like you can only have the best audiences if you're sending them here.
So it's not completely altruistic then to go to that last one. But I'm curious, because I feel like on last episodes when we sort of talked about larger full funnel media activation strategy, we've moved a little bit away from just find the people that have purchased or at lower stage and remarket to those to other tactics to grow total sales and share of pie. So I'm wondering, how big of a limitation when you think of the browse signal available to everyone, and then the more lower funnel purchase signals only available to those that are bringing folks back on plan for endemic. How big of a limitation is that in your mind, or it's more of a nice to have on the other side, but you could just deploy ADSP ad dollars in either scenario and have effective outcomes?
I think you definitely lose a little bit of the effectiveness when you're looking at incrementality. So if I'm saying I really want to capture net new consumers, but I can't use my Amazon first party data to exclude customers who are, landing on Walmart or landing on my D2C, that does limit me a little bit. But as long as but by that same token, and this is maybe something that most people or most brands are not aware of, you could be retailer agnostic in your creative. I can run a video ad and say available at Walmart and Amazon and Target. And I can have that creative direct to Amazon. And so I can use I can use my custom audiences there in that case, because I'm sending the traffic if they engage back to Amazon, but the messaging is retailer agnostic. So you can kind of do a little bit of both if you are, if you understand the system.
Yeah. Okay. So clever workarounds. Right.
A few workarounds. I mean, in short, though, I think it matters from an incrementality standpoint. It's a nice to have when you're thinking about broader awareness building, because you can utilize the audiences and get a lot of buying power and get a lot of reach. That's very, very relevant even without them.
Yeah. Okay. Helpful.
So speaking of the reach, Amazon DSP taps into roughly 80 million authenticated CTV households per month. So that's not a small bit. And that's through the publisher integrations and partnerships with Roku, Disney Plus, Netflix. You've touched on that. Can you talk to us kind of about real examples of how non-endemic brands can connect purchase signals to high premium CTV inventory to drive off platform?
Yeah. So if you're a non-endemic brand, and you want to go do a buy on Disney or Netflix or through Roku with ADSP, you can do that. And so you have access to it's something like 80% of homes that have CTV. And so that's a lot of reach. And that's something that they didn't have before. And that's something that say the Trade Desk had up on the ADSP was access to a lot of premium inventory. So Amazon has that now. And because they have that now, you have on the back end a lot of really powerful measurement tools to say, all right, here's the actual sale that I drove. So you can use the Amazon Marketing Cloud, or you can use the Amazon ad tag or conversion API. So all like valuable nitty gritty measurement tools that can connect your D2C to a particular outcome. So say, for example, if you're trying to sell insurance, or if you're trying to get people to, sign up for a new bank account, if there's a sign up form for someone to sign something up, or if they become a lead gen form, or if it's a lead gen campaign, or if it's a commerce, like if it's still a purchase, if you're still trying to drive a sale of a product, you're just not selling it on Amazon, you can capture the final purchase there, and Amazon will be able to give you the attribution and say, yeah, they watched a Netflix ad and then they visited your page and then they made a conversion. And that's also been like very challenging from a technical standpoint for a lot of programmatic in the past. And so this is another powerful feature that just, I think like really closes the gap, and in some ways makes it even more beneficial for brands, because if they're trying to go out and buy, say, like audio, or they're trying to use another platform like iHeartMedia, often they run into a lot of measurement problems. Like the technology is maybe not there to capture the conversion or to measure a final purchase. And so, yeah, Amazon, I think, has built all that back end up so that you can tell the story to the CFO. No, I didn't just serve a bunch of impressions. I actually drove measurable sales.
At Acadia, we definitely are retail media network agnostic. We really believe heavily in it's important for brands to invest their next dollar where it's going to perform best and not be wedded to specific channels. And in order to do that, we have to make sure that we're breaking down channel silos. When you look at the current DSP landscape through that platform agnostic lens and benchmark ADSP side by side with options like the Trade Desk, with Yahoo, what have you, what's the quick and dirty take between like where we are now when you rank them next to each other and where you see us in the near and long term?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I feel at this point that there's maybe only a couple of things that the ADSP doesn't yet have compared to something like the Trade Desk. And it has to do with some of their like sort of like custom, some of the deals, some of the inventory that's available directly, that publisher deals that the Trade Desk has made with, say they might make with NBC or Universal, or they might make with even with Disney. Like there might be some premium specific inventory that's only available there, or some custom audiences that are only available like just through their partnership or through their data landscape. But Amazon has some of those as well. And so in many ways, I would say they're pretty much at par right now. The only area where there's like some unique values are in like the owned media properties. So when you look at Walmart, for example, if you look at the Walmart DSP, which is actually just run through the Trade Desk, they have access to unique Walmart audiences that no one else has access to. They have access now they've built their own owned and operated media channels like Vizio that, very few other DSPs have access to, just like the Trade Desk and Yahoo, for example. And Amazon can't touch that. So that's the world, like that's where we're headed, is a universe where, access to broad premium inventory of all types and premium inventory and like third-party audiences and the ability to ingest first-party data. All DSPs kind of have that. What differentiate them is the unique audiences that they bring to the table that they have by virtue of their retail media network, or by virtue of the media channels or the supply that they own, like a Prime Video, for example. So like I think that's where we're headed. Just the only thing that differentiates a DSP is what they own themselves, what their unique properties are.
Yeah, I'm like curious, Ross, you speak to, especially now that there is this whole like wave of, non-endemic brands not selling on Amazon, as we discussed, that like primarily had invested considerably in Meta and Google and that sort of thing to drive off Amazon traffic into their D2C. I'm just curious, like, how do you sort of engage in that conversation where it's like, okay, you're seeing A, B, and C, it's now time to start moving into like ADSP and testing that? Like, what are the sort of like, in terms of collaborating with a partner and like the signs that indicate like you're probably ready to start doing that shift? Like how should they start that first step?
So I think if you're a non-endemic brand, for example, and you're hitting a point of like consistent diminishing returns with your traditional media channels, that's the first signal that you should be thinking about testing into a new media channel like ADSP. So for example, if you've been running the same, even with like extensive creative testing and, lots of different audience testing and all sorts of different models, if you've been running that on the Trade Desk or Meta or Google and you're just seeing consistent diminishing returns, or the juice is not worth the squeeze and the cash in the register is less than it was year over year, that's when you should start thinking about testing into something like the ADSP. But I would also say, even if that's not the case, even if it's the case that like you've been doing really well with Meta and Google, there's still room to scale or what have you. If there are any signals that indicates that your audience is really dominated by purchase, like a certain type of purchase behavior. So if your audience is definitely always in market for dog toys, if your audience loves golf and is always buying golf balls, or is like really, really addicted to premium skincare, you should absolutely be testing into the Amazon DSP because it has the best signals for who that person is most likely to be, and you can really get in front of them.
Those were such specific examples. I'm wondering what golf enthusiasts that also love dog toys and beautiful face lotions. Yeah. Is this like your idealized version of yourself, Ross?
No, this is like it's like an all-terrain vehicle.
Okay,
like
this is Julie.
This is my household with me with the dog and the skincare, and my husband with the golf. So like you just took my household. I'm a little unsettled.
That's precise targeting for you right there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can give you another an interesting real world example. Like I was doing a pitch for a brand that is like a car reseller, and so obviously that's non-endemic. It doesn't sell on Amazon. But what we knew from some audience analysis is that there are some really strong signals of who's about to be in market for a secondhand car, and there are certain purchase behaviors, and there are certain like sort of lifestyle signals, all of which Amazon has a unique POV on, that were, I think, really powerful. And Amazon also has its own signals that were, and this was what I found so interesting is as I was digging into the available audiences on Amazon, what I found is they have their own models for who is likely to be in market for a secondhand pickup truck, who's likely to be in market for a luxury vehicle, who's likely to be in market for, like a secondhand Toyota. And I was like, wow, they have that signal too. So they've like gone really, really deep into creating these use cases for non-endemic purposes, right? So they've done the work to put the products together, and it's just worth testing.
Again, tapping into my household, as we will soon be in the market for a secondhand car with my son.
Is it Toyota or a pickup truck or a luxury vecle? That's the thing you gotta figure out.
I think we're more Toyota than pickup. Definitely
not a Rolls-Royce Phantom. Okay, cool.
Well, Ross, as always, great to have you on and talk all things retail media. I think more people will be clear on the non-endemic versus endemic, and we'll just say it simply: selling on Amazon or not selling on Amazon. Thank you for helping change that for all of us.
I'm trying to sing that song, but not endemic versus non-endemic just keep coming back.
Well, we will have you back to get to the root of what a demic brand is. So
yes.
Until then, thank you, Ross.
Thanks for having me.